Try to ruin my cousin's wedding? I ruin your dress. Subscribe to our channel, like and comment. So, a few months ago, my cousin Brooke began planning her wedding. I was the bridesmaid and the backup maid of honor in case her sister who was the MOH had to cancel. We have another cousin, Peyton, who is honestly the worst. She needs the attention on her 24/7 and will do anything for it. She has faked pregnancies, miscarriages, and once tried to convince the family that she was engaged and that the guy died, but she had never posted anything or told her own parents. In our community, we go by the motto, without family you have nothing, or something like that, so we always forgive her. I knew that Peyton would try something, along with some of the aunties, so I made a plan with the MOH, Haley. We knew that at least one person would show up wearing white, so we had this plan where we would rent red dresses in different sizes and give them to the girls in white dresses who Haley and I would accidentally spill wine or food on. The day of the wedding, Haley and I are out in the lobby of the building and we see Peyton. She is wearing a full-on wedding dress. Not only is it white, it has lace. She was wearing these giant white diamond jewelry. Haley immediately got to work, going to the bar and getting a glass of wine, and let me tell you, she deserved an Oscar. She walked over to Peyton and wobbled her leg a little and spilled the glass all over her dress. She landed on the floor on her knees, and with one hand she spread the stain in the front whilst apologizing, saying how she was so sorry and let me try to wipe it off, while her other hand with the glass spilt the rest of the wine on her backside, making it look like a period stain. I walked and did my little "oh what a coincidence, we have spare dresses, come with me, we'll get you changed." But I wasn't done. There's this teen drama show from the early 2000s that I'm kinda obsessed with. The fake names will give you a hint. In the prom episode, two girls get into a fight and one girl writes in invisible ink, a bad word, and when she steps into the black light it shows. So I made this concoction of lemon juice and some other stuff. You can look up how to make invisible ink, and while Peyton is changing I quickly write down some choice words, and gave it to her. The wedding goes off without another incident. Surprisingly no one else tried to wear white. But at the reception, shit hits the fan. Picture it, everyone entering the hall, we're all waiting for the bride and groom to make their entrance, and then she walks in. Peyton, with those choice words all over her dress. She looks around, admiring the decor and theming, and is smiling like a moron. Then she looks down, everyone staring at her. She smiles back at everyone, but as the night goes on, people continue to stare. She thinks her hair is messed up, she thinks there's something in her teeth, but she could never guess that when she looked down, she would see those words. She screamed. No joke, she screamed bloody murder, and everyone stared at her, wondering how it took her this long to notice. She ran out of the hall and left. Her husband had to take an Uber home because she drove away so quickly. The best part? Haley and I convinced her that it was the dress shop that did this. That they didn't clean it properly. We gave her a fake email with a randomly made-up dress shop maid that she has been emailing ever since. The most important thing is that Brooke had the time of her life. Just pick it off, sweetie. Subscribe to our channel, like and comment. This actually happened many years ago now, but I was dining at a restaurant with friends around 9-ish in the evening, not a fancy restaurant by any means, but an affordable, delicious option that's always open late. It wasn't busy and there was one very bored waitress who looked to be in her 40s. She put on a perky face and took our orders. Being a picky eater, I asked for a burger with no lettuce or tomato. I'd ordered the exact thing dozens of times before with no real issues, but something was off about this waitress. "It comes with the lettuce and tomato, honey," she said, like I was stupid. Yeah, I laughed, thinking she was just teasing me at first. "I just want the cheese though. It just comes like that." "That's how we make it, with lettuce and tomato," she said in a matter-of-fact way. I looked at my friends for some sort of help and only received dumbfounded looks in return. I said as nicely as I could. "Would you just leave the lettuce and tomato off?" I was waiting for her to understand, but she acted like I was speaking nonsense. "Sorry, but that's just how we make it," she replied, clearly annoyed now. "But if you don't like it, just pick it off, sweetie." She finished taking our orders while I sat there, stunned. Picking off lettuce and tomato is easy enough, sure. But on rare occasions that the restaurant had forgotten to leave it off for me in the past, it usually left the bun soggy and tasting of the toppings I disliked, hence why I asked for it not to be assembled that way. And I did everything I could in my very confused state of mind to be polite to this woman, especially because I started to wonder if she was 1, on drugs, 2, fucking with me to win a bet, or 3, profoundly stupid. I did end up receiving a burger with lettuce and tomato, surprise, surprise, and the bun was soaked by the questionable-looking, piled-on tomatoes. It even looked like they had even managed to add more toppings than usual, and I wondered what I ever could have done to this strange waitress to make her fuck with my hunger like that. Did I hurt her in a past life? I asked if I could at least get a fresh burger bun because it was so watery, and she just looked at me, exasperated, and said, "This again? Just pick it off. It's fine." I never made a scene, I never asked to speak to a manager, and I ate my fries and the parts of the burger I liked. I honestly don't really like confrontation, but I did get a bit of petty revenge in the end. On the table, I left her the oldest, dirtiest $1 bill from my friend's wallet as a tip, because you should always tip your servers, but I put the lettuce and tomato on top of that nasty dollar bill with a note, saying, "Just pick it off, sweetie." I wish I could have seen her face. Asterisk edit to add a few things. The "always tip your servers" bit was supposed to be in a mocking tone, since that's what people always say. Face with tears of joy, I didn't convey that well enough, so I wanted to clarify that I'm aware I didn't have to tip. For those of you saying I shouldn't have tipped at all, how else was I supposed to leave the toppings for her? Smiling face with sunglasses, that dollar wasn't a loss. It had been in my friend's wallet for over a year and was so soft and deteriorated I doubt many establishments would have even accepted it as payment, especially after being soaked in tomato. I really hope it was bad enough that she had to make a special trip to the bank to replace it. For those of you calling me names or referring to me as too soft or whatever because I didn't stand up for myself in a really bizarre situation that confused the hell out of me, this was almost a decade ago and I was much more anxious and shy back then. I was in my early 20s at the time and working through some trauma, blah blah blah. You don't really need to know my childhood story. But I did my best then. In these days I'll gladly tell you to fuck off for being rude or calling me names online or in person. I mean, is it some sort of weird kink or power play for those of you calling out a presumably skittish person rude names? That's fucked up. She expected an inheritance from my late husband. Subscribe to our channel, like and comment. My husband passed away 2 years ago. He was a remodeler who had a broad list of clients. For a time, to help out the adult daughter, let's call her Kiki, of my good friend of 42 years, Ami. He would hire her as a helper on some of his larger remodeling projects. During that time, Kay would occasionally borrow things for her own projects: a portable CD player, a pair of channel locks, a winch and come along, a table saw, chainsaw, a Graco cart paint sprayer, and an air compressor and nail gun. They were all borrowed clean, in working order, in good condition with all relevant parts included. Every single one of them was returned with great delays, all broken and missing significant parts and a crap ton of excuses. Over 2 years, Kiki managed to cost him nearly $5,000 in losses. Finally, he also quit hiring her as a helper because he caught her stealing from one of his clients and forced her to put the item she took right back and then kicked her off the job immediately. Last September, I was visiting Ami and Kiki was there. And then Kiki hit me up for what she called her promised inheritance, which was the first I ever heard about it. Given that my hubby and I spent the 8 years of his terminal illness talking about what he wanted after his death, given that he gifted things of his that he wanted friends to have before he died, I knew damn well he didn't intend for Kiki to have anything. My husband left no will. Ami knew that my hubby had quit lending her tools after getting the cart paint sprayer back. It was a $1,200 purchase and was less than 4 months old when it was borrowed and returned broken in ways the warranty would not cover. Ami also knew Kiki's attempted theft had caused him to refuse to ever work on anything with him for any reason. Ami was also a victim of her daughter's stealing from her as well. Now, our state is a community property state. When a spouse dies without a will, only the surviving spouse inherits, so Ami told her daughter to back off, and I got the bright idea of how I was going to handle getting rid of all that broken stuff which was still taking up room in the tool shed. So I told her I'd be sure to pick something out for her, even though her own behavior was the root cause of the bad blood between herself and my husband. So, the next day, with Ami's help, I dropped off all the broken tools and the busted-up CD player Kiki borrowed from my hubby at her apartment. Kiki wanted to know what I expected her to do with all of it. I told her that I expected her to do with them whatever it was she had expected my hubby to do with them after she returned them in the condition they were in. Now, she is the proud owner of a bunch of useless tools, and I got to reclaim nearly 35 square feet of space in what is now my tool shed. AITA for demanding my coworker pay me for a ride to work after many months of giving her a free ride? Subscribe to our channel, like and comment. For the last 14 months, I have been driving one of my coworkers to and from work. She only lives a mile up the road from me and is on the way, so I've never asked her for a dime or accepted when she's offered me money. From my perspective, I'm going there either way, and her overall household expenses are higher than my own, so it felt like the thing to do. Over the weekend, my car went to the shop. I told my coworker that I wouldn't be available to give her a ride either Monday or Tuesday. She said it wasn't a problem because her boyfriend is off this week and would give her a ride. I asked if I could bum a ride as well. I even offered to walk to her home so they wouldn't have to drive backwards. She asked her boyfriend about it and he said he would, but he wanted $20 for the 2 days. I know it's just $20, but that set me off. I declined the offer and said I'd find my own ride. At work yesterday, she asked about my car. I told her I'd be getting my car Tuesday night after work, but that going forward I'd like $30 a week, 1/3 my gas costs, if she wanted to ride with me. She was upset about this and said her boyfriend had only wanted money from me because by having me in the car he was being forced to drive straight home when he picked me up. I pointed out that I've been happy to drive straight home to help her out for over a year and that it probably wouldn't have killed him to show me at least some level of appreciation. Today she said she'd no longer be riding with me after talking about it with her boyfriend. She said she felt disappointed with me for holding his actions against her and that I was being petty. A couple other coworkers told me throughout the day that her boyfriend's just an asshole and she doesn't really have a say at home, but overall agreed with me that it was a dick move. From my perspective, this dude directly benefits from me thanks to his girlfriend not needing a car of her own or spending a dime in travel, and my coworker should have defended me. Do you all think I'm being petty about this? AITA for not letting my sister use the family property for her upcoming wedding? Subscribe to our channel, like and comment. I am 25, my sister is 29, I also have a younger sister, 8. When I was 14, my mom sent me to live with her parents. Her excuse was that they needed me to help out. I believe she just didn't want to deal with a growing male teen. My grandparents owned an amazing property in the mountains that has an amazing view. We also have some horses and other critters. They were also quite wealthy as well. They both passed 4 years ago a month apart. They gave me the property, because I would appreciate and respect it more, while my mom and sisters got money and other assets, overall valued more than the property. In the past 4 years, I turned part of the property into a venue for mainly weddings. GPs knew of this idea and thought it was a good one. We are busy and usually booked about 8 months out. My sister got engaged 1.5 years ago and said she wasn't to get married at the property. I said yes, just let me know the date as soon as possible so I can make sure it is booked. I never got a date. I followed up several times and kept asking her, and she would brush me off. 2 weeks ago I got the wedding invitation, stating the property is the location and the date, which is in September of this year. I immediately called her to say that we have booked for that date and can't accommodate her. Well, now her, my mom, other family, her partner's family, as well as other flying monkeys have been blowing up on me. They are also calling and writing reviews for my business. I asked them to stop and call my sister, telling her that literally all she had to do was tell me when she knew her date so I could block it and I would take care of everything else. She went off on how I am ruining her day. It is our family's property. How she already sent out the invitations and couldn't go back now. I should just tell the other couple to cancel. They have been on the books for over a year now, and I actually like them. Family is more important. After the last big blow-up, I started communicating strictly through the business, using our recorded line as well as email. I suggested 3 other dates around the same time, but that's not good enough. I'm being resentful and an AH. TLDR, I own a property/popular wedding venue property that my sister wants to get married on, but she didn't tell me the dates until a few months before. It is booked for the day she wants. She already sent out invitations, how I found out. Since I won't cancel the other couple's reservations, I'm being called an AH. ETA. Thank you all for the overwhelming response. I thought I was going crazy. I'll try to respond to Propo later when I have some time. Thank you for all the advice and responses. ETA number 2. Wow. There's no possible way I can respond to everyone. I have been taking notes about what people are saying and will go through the process as I have time. Most likely Monday. I plan on getting in contact with the couple and see if I can take them to dinner or something to explain the situation. I'm thinking of giving them a discount, getting a guest list, and being tight on security on our part. Thanks, everyone. ETA 3. I'm so blown away by the responses. The coming weeks Nate is going to be busy. I probably won't update until most of everything is settled. But I am going to reach out to the other couple. Have a sit down with my sister, as well as my mom. I have a meeting with a lawyer later this week. And finally, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to name my business for reasons. Thanks for the offers of writing good reviews, but I can't accept it. I like to earn everything I have or am given. I have made a lot of contacts in this business and am now having to call on them to help me out. Just do me a favor. Be kind to everyone. Show love, compassion, and respect.